Good evening. Welcome to today's daily portrait practice, everyone. I have this wonderful photo which I found on the Museum by Sketchy app of Nikolly and it was photographed by Mayana Varalo, and Nikolly is from Brazil. And the Museum by Sketchy app is a very cool app where people can share images of themselves for other people to draw. It's a wonderful resource, and I have done so many great portraits and made so many friends there. And I'm really happy to be able to work on your portrait today, Nikolly. So thank you so much. And if you're watching this, say hello in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, say hello in the comments. And we'll just get to it, shall we? Yesterday was the Drawn Together show, and if you were there for the live stream, you will have seen me do the drawing, the line work for this piece. Hello, Kiki. You are here, Kiki. Hello. So yeah, I did the line work during the live stream. In the after party, I worked on this, and I'm pretty happy with where it's at the moment. I may spend some more time on this, but yeah, it was very nice sharing the evening with Ian Goldsmith, who is a lovely person. It was so good, so much fun. So if you haven't seen it yet, check out the replay. The link is in the description, which I have found out because someone asked, was like, I can't find the description. What are you talking about? And if you're watching on a tablet, under the heading where it says, for example, today, Nikolly improved with daily portrait practice, or whatever it says, under that, there is some text and there's ... more. And if you tap the more, it opens up more. And then within that, there'll be the description. And there's another 3 dots and you can tap more and it will show you all of the links that I keep talking about. So check that out. If you were as yet not sure about where that is, that's where it is. All right, let's start drawing, shall we? I have my solid graphite stump here and my blending stump here. Kiki, Rachel and Nana are here. It is so nice to have the 3 of you here with me. I see there are 3 more of you. Say hello in the live chat. What are we going to do today? Shapes, for sure. It's been all about shapes, and I wonder if I can just put some graphite down. So it was interesting yesterday with Ian, with the graphite just going straight into the big smudgy shapes. So I feel like this process is kind of the reverse of the way that I usually like to work. And it's been interesting this month, focusing on shapes first and minimal line work, or finishing up with line work. It's just an interesting way to turn things around. So I know that some of you were at the live stream with Ian yesterday, and I'm curious, what was your favorite moment from the live stream or the after party, if you were at the after party? I thought it was a great conversation. It was just so nice spending time with all of you. And Ian is wonderful. It was just really such a great chat. It was like 2.5 hours by the time we finished after the after party, and I totally could have just kept chatting, but it was late. All right, so here's something to begin with. And sometimes it's interesting just to document the process. It can make for an interesting Instagram post as well. There are 10 of you watching now. 7 haven't said hello yet. Say hello in the chat. Who's here? What is this? This is a 2B pencil. 2B graphite. I really like dark, softer graphite pencils to work with. Like, I think 6B is probably the sweet spot. That's why 6B is so good. Like, I like to do everything with one tool, And maybe it'd be interesting. Maybe I could develop a liking for using a bunch of different pencils and having their values. Like someone gave me this set that had like 10 different gradations of graphite. But I just like one that's pretty dark, pretty soft, and I feel like I can do a lot with. I can be really light and gentle with it, and for like subtle, softer areas, and I can get really dark. But it's really smudgy as well then. I'd be interested to know if any of you here are hard pencil fans. I think Shannon likes a hard, shiny pencil. But the H's, like HB, you know, that's like the classic, what I used all through school. And then when I discovered later on that there are these softer pencils than HB was just like the default pencil. And then when I got to know softer pencils, I was like, oh, these are good. I like these. No one's chatting in the chat today. Apart from, oh, here we go, Rachel. Rachel liked how Ian was very into the colours of pigeon chat. Yeah, I felt like that was an important part of the conversation. And I'm glad that Ian was into it too. It was very good to think about the colours of a pigeon. And for those of you who, a little spoiler, if you haven't seen the conversation yet, was that in the stream or was that in the after party? Pigeons have every colour. And I have, like, some people say they're the dirty bird. And if you live in cities and you know that they're kind of scavengers and stuff, I love them in cities. It's like they bring some life, some fluttering wing sounds, a bit of movement, a bit of nature into the cityscape. But yeah, sometimes they're considered unclean, but they're indeed wonderful. And they have every colour. Yeah, so this feels interesting. Like I was saying yesterday with this one that you can see a bit of over here. Camilla, you like hard pastel pencils or hard watercolor pencils? Interesting. I have a couple of these. They say Pitt pencil on them, and I think it's like kind of like a pastel Conte thing. And I guess the advantage of it being hard maybe is they're not like so dusty and smeary. Is it? What are the benefits of the hardness of a pencil? I know Camilo Carreño, who is incredible. I think he likes hard pencils too. Yeah, so was it yesterday, the day before, I periodically go over to the Museum by Sketchy app to look for reference, because I'm always looking for reference. And it has this convenient way of, there's like a inspiration tab, and you tap on that and it'll show you recent images which have been uploaded, where there's a lot of people. It's a really interesting mix. There are people who are on there sharing images and not necessarily artworks beyond that. Of course, the photographic image is also an artwork, an art form in itself. But there are people there sharing references, and then there are people there taking those references and making something with them. And it's a really interesting creative exchange. And it's set up, it has part of it, it has a a chronological feed. So depending, like, you can follow people and then you will see in order of who posted most recently, you will see their work, which is really cool. Remember back in the days when our timelines were chronological on social media and not just like full of stuff that you're not actually even following, or it's it's a cool app. So you can follow people and like see their inspiration photos, follow people and see their work, their drawings, paintings, like creations, whatever, however they choose to create. All right, this is kind of interesting now. Specifically to sketch with, hard pencils to sketch with. What is a sketch? When does something change, stop being a sketch and become a drawing? Or is it possible for something to be a drawing and not be a sketch at all? To not go through the sketch phase? This is a question that Shannon posed yesterday during Drawn Together. I'm going to smudge this a bit more now. Who else has highlights from yesterday's Drawn Together episode? What did I like about it? I thought it was really interesting in the after party when we started talking about the, what's it called? Contemporary British Portrait Painters Club, or whatever it is. That was really interesting. I liked hearing a bit of Ian's origin story and that he worked with plants. And interestingly, like, we didn't go too deep into color theory and stuff because Ian has made this amazing book called Color Theory for Artists. But I had been listening to a bunch of other conversations of Ian's where I felt like he was talking about color theory and colors a lot. And I was like, let's just talk about anything, all sorts of things. So the color theory is definitely super inspiring, super informative, and anyone who would like to understand color a bit more, I definitely wholeheartedly recommend Ian's amazing book. I copied the description from yesterday's stream. So if you go into the stream, there's even a link to the book. There's a link to the Drawn Together episode with Ian yesterday. Who here who's watching this now doesn't know where the description is? Because I had to have a look for iPad users. It's not as easy. I usually say down below in the description, and on an iPad it's not down anywhere. It's hidden. It says ... more under the title, and you press that and then it opens up the description panel. I can maybe merge these backgrounds. This kind of looks like hair now. I just wanted to create some kind of background shape. It kind of looks like a strand of hair. So my kind of workaround for making a line is if I use the flat side of the pencil, which I use when I'm doing this, but I do it like this, it's a line, but it's the flat side. So it's kind of like I'm still using the pencil in a different way than I usually would. Kiki, thank you so much. I'm glad you liked my drawing. You got your color theory book today, weekend reading. That's so great. Hello, Klaus. Hello, Isidore Atour. Bonsoir. Oh, that's so cool that you got the book, Kiki. I sent you an email, Kiki, with a special video about digital glazing. Did you get that? I think that could be interesting to experiment with. Nice to see people saying hello in the chat. By the way, if you're interested in my mentorship, which I've talked about repeatedly, now would be a pretty good time to jump on board and join. We've just been starting this week with the introductory one-on-one calls for this season of the mentorship, and I think it's a pretty cool way to work and grow together. And on my website, dylansara.com/mentorship, you can find information about it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If it's something that sounds like it could be of interest to you, then get in touch. I just noticed I'd like a bit more highlight here, and it's pretty cool. Once you smush all this graphite around, you can just you can change things. You can lift it. I think I will still have to do in my shape focused series something where I put a lot of graphite down, like maybe the whole paper, and just lift and redraw into it, because that is a very interesting way to work. I've done it a few times, but it's been a while, and I think it would be really interesting to do again. People have plans for the weekend. We may do a mini hike with our kids. There's a nearby hill which has the impressive name of being the Ash Mountain, like the tree, Eschenberg. But it's not really a mountain. I don't think so, but the kids might think so. And it's nearby, and we thought of going there with the kids. Something we would like to invite a little more into our lives, being able to go for long walks with the kids. Their legs are getting longer, and let's see if we can help develop their motivation for using those legs. Do you have any creative plans for the weekend? Kiki is going to the farmer's market, which is starting to flourish at this time of year. That's an amazing idea. I'm just wondering here, some way for the braids to have a brief... There's so much detail in there, and like finding a way to briefly communicate some of that detail without having to draw everything. I like those kind of expressive marks, which kind of like communicate something without putting all of the information there. Another interesting way would be to put down a lot of graphite and lift it with the eraser to grab those highlights from the hair. Al Ineke, BB, hello, welcome. Kiki, my email was in your junk box. That's something. I'm glad you found it. All right, we're about 20 minutes in at the moment. I don't want to spend too long today. I still have a reading date. Weekend. No school tomorrow. I like this. I feel like some of the proportions are a bit off, but I still like it. Such a nice reference photo. So if you're sharing on Instagram, you can tag Nikolly and Mayara, sorry. Both of their accounts are here. Tomorrow is the weekend, and the last couple of weekends I've done Procreate portraits on the weekend from the Matrix. So I was thinking maybe I'll keep doing that. Who's interested in Procreate portraits on the weekend? And what Matrix characters are we still excited about drawing? Ineke. I have a very dear friend named Ineke. So I have very positive associations with that name. We met in Antwerpen, and Ineke is from Friesland. Where's everyone from? Those of you who are here, 11 of us are sitting here today, cozy, sketching together. I know where some of you are from. It would be interesting to know. And maybe you've told me in the past. You could give a different answer today. All right, so I just thought maybe to wrap this up, I'm going to go on point. So move away from shape a little bit. I feel like I've done what I can, but there's like around the eyes, I would like a bit more definition, for example. So I'm going to allow myself the pointy end of the pencil. Hey, Lewis. Dad's work. You're busy. You are here now, almost at the end. No problem. Thank you for tuning in, Lewis. I know how it is. I know some things. Sometimes I wonder before the live stream, I'm like, when am I going to be able to do this? When I'm done with my dad's work. But today, I just mentioned I'm going to do some reading after this. reading The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. Traveling between worlds. So yeah, there's something some proportions a bit off. Some things are not exactly where they could be, but they are exactly where they are. I feel like one of those drawings where it's close, but it's different enough to feel like it could be a person, but it's a different person. Okay, I feel like nearly done. Heading towards 30 minutes with this one. Hey Tommy and Ashley. Good evening. What will I do next? Ashley, you're web designing. Oh, Kiki, Ian was wearing a Detroit baseball cap yesterday. Yeah, that's interesting, right, Kiki? You say that I said the proportions are off, but the likeness is still captured. So it's interesting. And it's like it's all clearly from this image, but somehow it's a new person. And largely it's the space between the eyes. Whoops, that's interesting. Like the corner of the eye is like much further over here. But now if I start trying to adjust it, it could set everything else off, and because then everything needs to kind of scooch over a bit. So it's, yeah, I put a really broad space between the eyes. That's part of it. And it can be interesting when you notice like, this looks like a different person. If you can zero in on what it is that looks different, if you can catch it and change it if you want to. I still really liked how it was, but if I can figure something out and pivot a bit, or maybe just a little adjustment can swing it back in the direction of looking like Nikolly. All right, I think that's it for today. So just caught that towards the end there. Sometimes, depending on how I have things set up, I'm like not looking straight at my drawing surface. I'm looking less straight at the reference. That may have something to do with the way I'm bringing it together on the paper. if you've made it this far, to the end of this live stream or of this recording, you could put your little drawing hand emoji in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, suggestions, insights, realizations, then feel free to put them in the comments. We can also just have a general chat, because I go through, I read all the comments, I like to respond, and I appreciate the conversation, knowing that you're there. So thank you for being here. And we'll be back here tomorrow. Message retracted, message retracted. In the process of being Dylan-ified. Lewis, I nearly always use the same paper for my drawings. Nearly. It's Hanamula Nostalgie paper. I use it for ink. I use it for pencil. This sketchbook, it's all... everything I've been doing in the sketchbook has been on this Nostalgie paper. I recently got some other paper, which is a Hanamula paper, but it costs half as much. And it's just called Sketch. But that's... everything I've been doing here has been in Hanamula paper. Thanks for being here, everyone. Like and subscribe. If you feel so inclined, you could buy me a coffee, or you could join my Patreon, where I make monthly tutorials. This month's will be about the insights I've gained while focusing on this shape approach. And there's been some pretty interesting high penny, been going through some different things, trying different things out using Procreate, which I feel like is such a good shape tool. But let's just have a little brief look at what's been going on this month. Nikolly dos Santos is here. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for your photo. It's such a lovely photo. Thank you. What's going on? Your dad is okay? Question mark. Thanks for the response. You are welcome, Lewis. So here's today's drawing, and I was just going to flip through the pages and have a little look at what's been going on here. It has been very interesting working with different things. I've been having a chat with Sergio today, which was really, really cool. So this was similar to what I was just doing with graphite, but with the colored pencil. Here, below my baking paper, is oil pastel. So I'm just protecting the pages by putting baking paper in between. And a couple of days ago, the sun was shining in, and it was really interesting texture here on the oil pastel. These were fun too. Sometimes it feels like so long ago, even though it was just like a week ago, to look back and see what we've been doing. Rachel says, someone recommended Leuchtturm 1917 paper. I do not know it, but it sounds like a German name. I have some friends that use it, but I've not tried it out. Oh, this is another baking paper page where it was definitely worth putting that in here, because there's kind of like a monoprint on the other side. So that's what's been going on in this shape month. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure, as always. Thank you, Nikolly, so much for your face. And thanks to everyone who's drawing along. You can tag us all on Instagram and join the Discord server and share your work there. And see you next time. I can tape the baking paper in place. That's such a good idea, Kiki. Thank you for your brilliant contribution. Yeah, I've been wondering how am I gonna handle this sketchbook with all of this